Good morning, Coach. How we doing?
Royal, good morning.
Coach, there's a saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The fact of the matter is, in the second half, DJ Burns was just unstoppable. 10 to 15 from the field, 23 points second half. Just speak on his emergence in your program and just how dominant he's been, just the next play mentality, never give up, playing both sides of the floor. What has he meant to the NC State basketball program?
Well, Royal, first of all, he's a dinosaur when it comes to today's center. And what I mean by that is very rarely do you have guys today who doesn't mind playing with their back to the basket. And, most of the centers, even in our league, outside of a couple teams, most of these guys are face-up guys or pick and pop three guys, which is nothing wrong with that. But he gives us the ability, or he gives us something that we probably haven't had in a long time, and many people in college basketball, the ability to score with your back to the basket where you can throw the ball inside. And then, he's a trusted passer. He really finds people. What a tremendous game he had at Wake. And, he's had some really good games for us in the NC State uniform, but that's probably his best one so far.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
I'll go next to Corey Smith. Go ahead, Corey.
Kevin, first of all, hope you're having a good morning. Wanted to check with you on this coming up Wednesday's game. Obviously, you guys face off with the Florida State team that's been playing, better basketball recently. Is it kind of a similar scenario to last week where you went on the road to Georgia Tech and you said afterwards, play the team, not the record, right?
Oh, 100%, Corey. They're good. I think if anybody in this league would to look at their record and say we're playing against a team that's 7-15, I think that's a huge mistake. All you got to do is look at the Clemson game this past weekend, and them going on the road and winning at Pitt. They're really good, and it's unfortunate because obviously they're going to get heavily penalized for what happened in November and December with a lot of injuries, and then obviously not having one of their better players for 16 games, but. This team is as talented as any team that we're going to play in this league, and they can beat anybody on any given night. I'm sitting here watching them yesterday and today. They're really good. Talented, and obviously you guys know that Leonard has done a great job for a lot of years.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Corey.
James Henderson, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. I got two quick ones for you. I know Royal asked you earlier about DJ. I'm interested in your take. How do you view him? Do you view him as a scorer or a playmaker?
Well, he was a playmaker on Saturday. I think he's really just an unselfish player that has gotten better in a lot of areas. One of the things for DJ is trying to get in the best shape that he could to be able to play. We talked about him scoring, but nobody's talked about he played 33 minutes and was very effective in that game. I think he's both. I think his ability to score the basketball with a soft touch, but I was telling the staff this morning, we don't run Princeton offense, but it's almost like we had to run the offense through him with all of the foul trouble that we had. And, he, won't have a lot of assists, but he's got the one that he does have, or the two that he does have, was very, very effective. And so, he passes the ball, he can score the basketball, and very rarely do you see that with someone his size.
And just my other one, I know Dushan and Jack have generally been lumped together from a health standpoint, just coming back. Is one maybe a little further along than the other at this point?
I don't know, James. They both have injuries that are so nagging. Dushan's injury was very similar to what he had last year. And so anytime you injure the same body part a couple of times, it takes a little longer. And then, Jack's dealing with the groin. And so, both of those guys at any moment could be ready. And then obviously it just takes, a 5 minute or a different cut a certain way, and it can set them back. But I don't have a timetable for either one of those guys. You're going to hear rumors, or, someone told me, man, Jack's playing against Wake Forest. I was like, well, that's not true, because I'm the head coach. I would know that. And so you're going to hear that all the way until he plays a game or Dushan plays a game.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Go to Rob McLam. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Kevin, I have a two-parter as well. It's about transfers. First, what leads you when you're constructing a team to sort of say, okay, I want to add graduate transfers to this group? And then what are the non-basketball skill set in terms of intangibles do you look for from grad transfers?
Well, I think transfers are good because it's almost, as we know, we hate to say free agency, but you have the ability now to go out and find guys who completely fit your system. You know, when you're recruiting a high school guy, you're hoping and wishing that it translates to this level. You know, when with the transfer portal, you're able to see them play against other, you know, Division I teams, Power 5 teams, and do they fit in the way that you play, and what can they contribute coming right away? The intangibles is you want guys who, you know, have a winning mentality. For example, I'll give you an example. You know, getting Jarkel Joyner, and I have, you know, 3 other guys who I can use as examples also. But you know, we really hit a home run with this kid because he's a great person. You know, he's very focused. He's good on and off the court. He's great for your locker room. And so as much research as you can find out, and you're not going to get as much as you would like, just to find out what type of person they are, and who you're bringing into your program always goes a long ways.
Is it hard to get them to sort of quickly get that standard you've established, because they've been in an example like with Joyner, he's been 4 years at Ole Miss. This is something new. Or was he quick to the game?
Well, our system fits the way Jarkel wanted to play, and I think it was a perfect storm for him. You know, when we lost Darion Sebron, you know, with his ability to come in and know that he had the opportunity to start right away in a system where he could play free and be able to take a lot of shots and, you know, kind of, you know, get up and down. And, you know, if I had to say a point guard, he reminds me, you throw back a couple of years ago when we had Markel Johnson, who could really get after you defensively, but had a lot of freedom. And he's kind of fit that role from a basketball standpoint.
We'll go back to Royal Howell. Go ahead, Royal.
Coach, since January 7th, in one possession games in the final minute, your team is 4-0, I believe. What's been the biggest aspect, in your opinion, in your team's ability to not just fold under pressure, but rise to the occasion? When it's time to play ball, it's time to put the kids to bed, you guys are doing the deal. Like, what's been the biggest aspect for you, Coach?
I think we paid a lot of attention to detail late. And that's something that we struggle with early. You know, early on in the season, I would have guys that would break the huddle, and 4 guys would know where we were going, and the 5th guy wouldn't know. And it was very frustrating because the guy who didn't know where he was going was the guy that I was running the play for. And so we've kind of, you know, talked about staying locked in and staying focused and understanding everybody has a job to do, and it's kind of worked out for you. It doesn't always work to a perfect science, but, you know, just those possessions are so important at the end of the game, and you kind of got to have everybody locked in on the same page.
Thanks again, Coach.
Thank you.
Brett Friedlander, go ahead.
Kevin, going back to the transfer question, Saturday after the game, I can't remember if it was Jarkel or DJ was asked about what were some of the factors that led them to think that NC State was a good fit for them. And he said, the guys that are around me, these other guys that I'm playing with, how much do your players factor into when you're recruiting a transfer?
I think it's huge. You know, you think about this team, Brett, we knew we had T-Back, we knew we had Ernest, we had Greg, we had Breon and Casey and EB. And so I think, you know, when we bring guys on campus, we want those guys to be able to interact with those guys also. And then transfers are smart. I mean, they go out and they do their homework, and, you know, if you get one guy, it leads to another, and understanding how this guy plays. But I think it's important. I'm now, you know, obviously after being here, I think it's so much more important that these guys have a relationship off the court, because I think it leads to, you know, playing well on the court. And, you know, with this group, you know, I think one of the things that helped us is we were able to take a trip to Bahamas, and, you know, they didn't know each other, but being able to get together, hang out, have some fun, play some basketball. And I think that brought them together. So I think that, you know, when you go out there and you get transferred, I think it's important that they feel comfortable, because, I mean, you essentially are bringing in maybe 5 or 6 guys or the independent contractors, and you got to get them all on the same page.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Brett.
We'll squeeze one more quick one in from David Teal. Go ahead, David.
Kevin, DJ took 26 shots on Saturday. That's 10 more than he's ever taken in a game this season. Even as recently as 2 weeks ago, could you have envisioned him getting 26 up in a game?
I got every post guy's AAU coach calling me right now. Just say, hey, Kevin Keatts, just so you know this for the record, anybody that says he's a guards coach, I want everybody to understand that my post guy took 26 shots in a game. I can always say that. Just remember that part of it now. He was amazing. It's funny because in a day's time, and I told somebody earlier that, you know, throwing the ball inside and a guy gets 26 attempts and never takes a three and never get in transition, man, that means a lot. So, you know, he's tired the next day. He was tired yesterday. He's probably going to act like he's tired today. And I'm going to tell him, if you're tired today on Wednesday, you only get 5 attempts. So, yeah.